We begin this morning with heatwave warnings in place for large parts of the east coast. Temperatures to soar up to 40 degrees in some areas. This as a bushfire rages in Victoria's Grampians. Authorities right now on high alert.
So let's go live to Today Melbourne reporter Kiara Parker. Kiara, good morning to you. The heat in Melbourne could be the worst in a decade.
That's right. This heat wave sweeping through is set to cause Melburnians to sweat through the hottest weekend in a decade, heading for a top of 37 today and 38 tomorrow, but it'll be in the 40s along the Murray and in the state's north. Firefighters are on alert with high fire danger across most of the state as crews continue to grapple with the Grampians bushfire, which is still not yet under control and has burnt through 76,000 hectares. Authorities are warning those heading to the beaches or rivers to cool off today to take extra care in the water after a young boy tragically drowned in East Gippsland yesterday afternoon. And V-Line trains are running to an extreme heat timetable. But it's not just Victoria expecting these scorching temperatures with warm weather right along the east coast. In Sydney's western suburbs over the weekend, temperatures will nudge into the 40s, as will some areas in South Australia.
It's been a very tough year so far as we enter the second month of summer. Kiara, thank you very much.
Well, grim discovery in the Gold Coast hinterland with a passerby finding what are believed to be human bones. A crime scene has been set up in the Springbrook National Park. Additional officers are headed to the area today. The search for the body of a missing surfer attacked by a shark off South Australia's coast will resume this morning. 28-year-old Lance Appleby was surfing at Greenwich Beach when the shark attacked. He's being remembered by friends as a beautiful young man. Dozens have turned up at the lookout to pay their respects. The search so far only recovering his damaged board.
By the time he got there, the board was 1,500 metres offshore. And he found the board with half a leg rope and a bite mark in the bottom of the board, which affirms that it was a shark attack.
He was back home visiting family for the Christmas break at the time. Well, tributes are growing for the 14 victims of the New Orleans terror attack as the community comes to terms with the tragedy that left dozens more injured. Live to Nine's US correspondent Lauren Tomasi, who's on Bourbon Street. Lauren, Joe Biden will soon visit the city.
And Andrea, that will happen in 3 days' time. The US President travelling here to New Orleans along with the First Lady to pay respects. And it comes as the President says he has now spoken to the victims' family members, the 14 victims in this awful terror attack. This morning, the tributes here are growing. A number of flowers, candles and the victims' names posted on the wall. And you can probably hear the music in the background. Bourbon Street now reopening. This morning, you could actually drive a car back down this street. It's open to vehicles of a day. Police have just moved barricades into place now, but it comes as we have learnt that the city officials here were warned 5 years ago in 2019 that this street was having faulty bollard issues and that they should be replaced because it could be victim to a vehicular ramming attack, and that is exactly what we saw play out 2 days ago. That, as we're learning, the FBI had also issued an alert early on in December saying that there was a heightened risk of these type of vehicle attacks. Today we do have new vision when it comes to that attacker, Shamsud Dinjabar. He has been captured on doorbell camera loading up his pickup truck in the hours ahead of this attack which killed 14 people. A new vision from inside his house in Houston, Texas as well. FBI authorities have been raiding that property in an attempt to understand how he may have been radicalised by ISIS. Inside that property, the door kicked down, all the furniture there strewn around the place. There was a number of religious books and a Quran laying open on display. But here on Bourbon Street, certainly a much noisier affair today. The music back as people pass by this tribute here, writing messages on the wall for those 14 victims. Andrea.
Thanks, Lauren. A corner store in Melbourne's north has been seriously damaged after two cars collided overnight. Police say a Ford Ranger smashed into a van in Glenroy around 1 a.m. before the storefront was damaged. The 27-year-old driver of the Ford was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, while the two people in the van were not injured. Commuters in Melbourne could pay just 50 cents to use the state's public transport if the government were to adopt the new Greens policy. Greens candidate for Prahran, Angelica Di Camillo, will pitch the slashed fares to locals today. The initiative could save commuters more than $50 a week. Well, if you've been struggling to reach your step goal of 10,000 a day, fear not. New overseas research suggests the ideal number to boost our mental health may in fact be lower. The study finding that walking 7,000 steps a day can reduce the likelihood of depression by 31%.
Let's head overseas now, and there's renewed hope of a ceasefire in Gaza, with peace negotiations to resume in Qatar.
It comes amid some of the heaviest bombardments since inside the Strip for weeks and dozens killed. Nine's Edward Godfrey reports.
In central Gaza, a panicked rush. Locals race the injured into an emergency department following an airstrike. At least 3 people riding in a car killed, 10 others injured. More than 30 have been killed in the last day, according to health officials. At one funeral, an armoured vest bearing a press badge is placed on a victim. He was a freelance journalist. The Magazi refugee camp, another site, reduced to rubble. We had nothing to do with anything. The people were all civilians, this man says. In Yemen, tens of thousands of protesters taking to the streets. Israeli and American flags set alight. It came after Houthis fired missiles at Israel, causing sirens to sound in Jerusalem. Lebanese government officials have visited southern towns to inspect the damage, with a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah now in its 6th week. Despite the heavy bombardments in Gaza, there is hope of a truce once again. Abandoned ceasefire talks set to resume.
UK correspondent Ed Godfrey.
First, and for the first time this morning, let's get the map up on the screen and take a look at the weather around the country for your Saturday morning. Starting off with you in Queensland, a very good morning to Cairns, a shower or 2, tops of 31. In Mount Isa, partly cloudy, tops of 40 degrees. Rockhampton, partly cloudy for you, 31 degrees. In Bundaberg, tops of 30. Toowoomba, cloudy and 25. And on the Gold Coast, a few showers, 28 degrees. Heading down into New South Wales, a good morning to Grafton, partly cloudy and 28 degrees. In Dubbo, morning storms set to ease, tops of 34. Newcastle, a nice and sunny 28 degrees. In Wagga, partly cloudy, tops of 38. And finishing off in Canberra, a possible storm, 33 degrees. Heading down to Victoria and Tasmania, Mildura, nice and sunny, 41 degrees. Sale, early fog set to clear and 37. In Ballarat, nice and sunny, tops of 37. Launceston, a sunny day for you, 31. And Strawn, partly cloudy, 25 degrees. In South Australia, we say good morning to you in Mount Gambier, partly cloudy, 35. Port Lincoln, 35 for you. And Cooper Pedy, becoming cloudy though, tops of 43, nice and warm. Over in WA, Geraldton, becoming windy, mostly sunny though, and 29 degrees. And Broome, a sunny 36 degrees. Wrapping up in the NT, the Alice, sunny 42, nice and hot. And Darwin, shower or 2, possible storm, tops of 34 degrees.